Hi, and welcome to the I Teed Myself podcast. My name is Matthew Miniman, and this is episode 44. What can the placebo effect teach us about VPNs? So this one is probably going to be pretty direct. There's no curve here. There's no strange line. I'm sure you guys know. And after having probably listened to the last several episodes, this one's probably not going to be any bit of surprise, but still, I felt that it was worth talking about. So, to start off, placebo effect. What is it? What is the placebo effect? The placebo effect is a sign that it is effectively in medicine or in really anything where you're attempting to test a specific the effectiveness of a thing. Usually in medicine, it's testing the effectiveness of a medication. What you do is you perform a control study, and so you give your patients a series of different things. And so, for instance, in a control study for a painkiller, you might give them a known working painkiller like ibuprofen or acetaminophen. You give them your experimental painkiller, and then you give them a sugar pill, which is placebo. They all look the same, and if you're doing a double-blind study, the people issuing or giving out the medication don't even know which medication is real and which one isn't. So in a study like this, what they'll find is that there are a certain percentage of people who are given the sugar pill who experience the same effects as the actual medication or similar effects to the actual medication. And it even comes with things like side effects. And it's interesting because the fake pill is really just sugar. There's nothing to it. There's no medication in it. It is purely the power of the mind. It is purely that person fooling themselves into thinking that they are getting medication, getting help. The placebo effect is actually so strong that even if you are even if you know you're getting a placebo, it can still affect your perception of whatever's going on. And so, this is something that is well documented in medical science and can even be used for benefit. However, in reality, the placebo effect you can't placebo effect your way through chemo. For instance, you can't take a placebo chemo and expect your chemo to disappear, or expect your cancer to disappear. You can't take a placebo surgery and expect your cancer to disappear. You actually have to have the operation. So the placebo effect does not have real physical results. So when talking about a placebo effect in VPNs, it's much the same. When you are using a consumer VPN, it is very much a placebo effect about your digital privacy, about your footprint. And so maybe to cover this from the very basics, what is a VPN? What is a consumer VPN? So there are a ton of consumer VPNs out there. If you open up a browser and you type in VPN, you will get a ton of results. And what you need to know about various VPN services is that they are very much all about, hey, sign up with us and we'll protect your privacy. You'll see fewer ads, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And some of these are legitimate, like, hey, they have additional ad blockers on the traffic that goes through the VPN. They have other aspects of their service that block malicious activity, so on and so forth. And there are some that do that. And that's great. But the whole idea of a VPN is that you are basically allowing somebody or using somebody else's internet connection to connect to the internet. And so the way that a VPN works is it basically creates what is called a tunnel. And this tunnel is effectively, you have your internet connection, Your computer or phone or whatever is connected to the internet already. And what you're doing is you're creating a tunnel within the internet to communicate directly to somebody else's connection. And at that connection, normal consumer VPN services, all you're doing with that VPN service is just using that to communicate out to the internet instead. So you're really placing your external communication port outside of a specific space. Now, VPNs do have their uses. Consumer VPNs do have their uses. And there are several legitimate uses, and there are several reasons why you would want to use a VPN. But the statement of I'm using a VPN to protect my privacy is bullshit. Do not believe that a VPN will do much more than just your regular internet connection about protecting your privacy. And there are a lot of reasons for this. So the first and foremost reason as to why a VPN will not protect your privacy, we covered in the last episode about cookies. If you have tracking cookies and you are signed into a browser session and you have a computer that you've been using for a while, a VPN service cannot stop those cookies. It cannot stop that information exchange from occurring. And this is simply because that is how the websites work. That is how your browser works. This is something that is outside of the VPN's control. Now, there are aspects of this that can be controlled by the VPN. Certainly, there are communication channels that it can block, like it can stop you from communicating to ad services and things like that. But the overall idea that they are preventing any of these tracking cookies or anything like that is kind of ludicrous. They're not doing anything additional to protect your privacy there. What they are doing is they are masking your IP address, and they are masking your internet connection, and they can also add masks to your computer. So the information that is gleaned from your internet connection or from the status of the computer, that can all be masked. So like the browser the type of browser that you're using can be masked. Your internet connection, where you're communicating from, can be masked, but your username and password are still exchanged, and that information is still in there and still out there. Now, you might argue that, okay, well, I'm giving my username and password knowingly to a website, but that's all they're getting. And that is all well and good, but one of the things you also have to realize is you are trusting this VPN service who you probably don't have any sort of vetting on. You're trusting them with all of that information instead. So you're not really preventing another entity from getting your information. You're guaranteeing another entity is getting that information, is getting that privacy information. And in the case of free VPN services, they're accounting on that. That's what they want. They want that information because they're just going to use that tracking information for their own purposes or to sell to their own ad providers and whatnot. So adding a VPN can actually be the exact opposite, can actually do the exact opposite of ensuring your privacy. So, and one of the questions you might ask at me specifically is, well, why do you take such a hardline stance against consumer VPNs, against people using consumer VPNs? And that is because consumer VPNs are generally bullshit, and they make security professionals' jobs harder. If you're using a VPN service as on a system provided laptop, on a company provided laptop rather, where your organization gives you this laptop and you're using this VPN service, you can fuck up a lot of the detection mechanisms that are in place for your computer. Now, more mature and or very mature and very robust security services can kind of get around a lot of that, and they can link that information appropriately. But overall, you can defeat a lot of the utilization of your security services by using a VPN service. Because when you're legitimately coming from a VPN, that prevents a lot of the detection schemes, because attackers use VPNs. That's what they do. They use VPNs to appear like they're coming from the United States instead of Russia or China or wherever they're from. And that prevents detection schemes from working if you are using a VPN. They can't trust that, hey, when I see a VPN for this user, I know it's illegitimate. And so using a VPN on a company machine is kind of bullshit, because honestly, you shouldn't be doing anything that you don't want people to see on your company provided system anyways. So stop it. Don't use it. Now, that being said, if your company is telling you to use a VPN service, they should be telling you to use a VPN service that utilizes their internet connection. So it should be a private VPN service and not a consumer VPN service, or some sort of VPN service where that company has an agreement with that VPN service. So, one of the pieces of information that I got for one of my clients is that this doctor was using a VPN service on their laptop, and it was their work laptop, and it's what they were using to sign charts. And I had to fucking rail at them, because that is absolutely against HIPAA. You cannot guarantee that third-party VPN service is not pulling off patient health information and not exposing that data. You just cannot guarantee that. Now, more than likely, they don't care about that PHI. And in fact, the fact that you're paying them makes that even less likely. But there's still no guarantee. They do not have a business agreement with you. They do not have a BA to guarantee that they are not siphoning off that information for their own purposes and their own uses. So you should not be using that service. That is another reason why you shouldn't use VPN services, because it can defeat and it can put you in violation of specific compliances. So if you're using a VPN service while taking payment card data, that is 100% a violation of the PCI DSS requirements. You are handing your traffic to somebody unknown. If you are using a VPN service for SOC 2 for connection into a SOC 2 environment, you are fucking violating your SOC 2 agreement. Your traffic is untrusted, and you're putting untrusted traffic directly into your SOC 2 environment. And there's just tons of shit like that. If you're using a VPN service and you are pulling CUI data, you are in violation of not only NIST 800-171, but CMMC v2, or at least we can readily assume that, because they don't actually have CMMC v2 out yet. Anyway, the point being is that when you're using a VPN service, you're just giving your shit away. You are potentially giving everything away. And so, the circumstances I don't want to be doom and gloom here. So there are circumstances in which you would legitimately want to use a consumer VPN service. And these circumstances are very specific, and they kind of fly in the face of the consumer VPN ads that you see on the internet. And remember, when you are seeing a consumer VPN ad, they're just trying to get you to pay money. They're just trying to get you to pay for their service or use their service so that they can do whatever they're doing with your data. And so the legitimate reasons or the reasons why you would want to use a VPN service, and for it not to be just because privacy, things like, I'm connecting to a service and I don't want anybody. I'm connecting to a service that is publicly facing. People can see the connection information live, and I don't want them to be aware of me or be specifically aware of what I'm doing. And a service like that is most common in this is something like torrenting, because in torrenting, anybody who is downloading that same file can see who is downloading it, and they see that information. So they see the IP address, and you might not want that. Another reason why you would want a VPN service is to appear like you're coming from somewhere else. And this is most notable for things like I pay for a service that only works in a specific region or only works when I view it from outside of my hometown. And so sporting streaming services do this quite a bit because there are blackout rules for certain things. And so if you are watching, if you're attempting to watch your favorite sport and your team is local to your location, blackout rules will prevent you from watching. I think this is purely a United States problem and not a problem in Europe, though Europe does more pirating than any other does more sports pirating than any other location on the planet. Anyways, a VPN can allow you to watch those sports using legitimate streams from by appearing like you're coming from outside of your home region. Another reason why you would want to use a VPN service is to protect your communication on an untrusted network. So if you are, let's say you go to an airport and you use their free Wi-Fi. Well, one of the things you can't guarantee is that free Wi-Fi that the airport is providing is secure in any means. You cannot guarantee that. And so to guarantee that your communication is secure from point A to point B, you would use a VPN service. You would use that VPN service to create that tunnel. And what that tunnel does is that anybody that sees that traffic along the route of your communication, they can't see into it. Now, there are theoretical limitations to that, I understand, and maybe by the time you listen to this, this statement will be proven false. But that's just technology in general, motherfucker. I don't give a shit. In August 25th, 2024, as we stand right now, VPN tunnels, nobody can see that traffic. Nobody can really know what that traffic contains along the tunnel. So if you're adjacent to a person accessing the internet through VPN service, if you're on that network and adjacent to them, and you try to sniff their traffic, you're going to get encrypted traffic. Now you might be able to decrypt that later on, pull that traffic out and decrypt it. But the fact that you have to decrypt it makes that communication it makes it secure so that you can't just intercept that shit in real time. Anyway, those are some of the legitimate reasons why you would want to use it. And notice that privacy really doesn't come into effect with any of them. They're purpose built for those reasons. You want to secure your traffic. You want to make sure your information. You want to make sure your IP address or where you're coming from is known. So on and so forth. Those are reasons why you would want to hide that traffic. But it doesn't really have to do with the privacy of your email address or the data that you're sharing, because that is bullshit. Now, I'm going to fucking rant here for the next, 5 minutes maybe, about free VPN services. So buckle up, Buttercup, because it's about to get fucking annoying. So free VPN services. What should you know about free VPN services? Well, the first fucking statement is do not use a free VPN service. A free VPN service is an absolute terrible idea to use because you are trusting somebody who is providing a service for free to not do anything with your data, to not manipulate that data, to not siphon it off and hand off to somebody else. You're also trusting this free VPN service that their agent isn't illegitimate, that you're trusting that their agent isn't going to own your machine, that you're not going to suddenly have viruses and a crypto miner installed in your fucking machine. And so free VPN services, you're trusting all of this information to somebody you haven't met that's offering the service for free. If it's free, you are the fucking product. You need to understand that. If you're using a free service, you are the fucking product. that's how Facebook makes its money. It sells information about you to its ad providers and collects the behavioral information of what you're doing on Facebook to then use to better target you for other things, which is why when you get onto Facebook, you enter an echo chamber of all the shit that you think you want to see. And it's how you become radicalized on the internet. Do not use free services if you can avoid it. There are certain free services, yes, that you can absolutely use. But for fuck's sake, if you are using a free service, if you're using a free VPN service, your traffic, your data that you're handing off is the product. So, it's not secure. You can't guarantee that your data that you're handing off, that your traffic that you're handing off is secure. You can't guarantee any of that shit. You also can't guarantee that you're not just handing data directly to somebody like Russia or China or somebody who's going to use that for profit, going to use that data for profit. And I use the example of the doctor accessing HIPAA data, accessing medical data using a free VPN service. And that is legitimately what happened. They were using a free VPN service, and were surprised that I was upset at how they were using VPN services. And my statement is if you are too fucking cheap to use a VPN service, to pay for VPN service, just don't use the fucking internet at all. Like, I don't, if you're so concerned about privacy that you think you need to use a VPN service, but you opt to go for a free one, just don't fucking use the internet. Like, might as well just fucking not use it, because you are, that's like, doctor, I feel sick. Can you give me something for it? And the doctor hands you poison. That's basically what you've done. You're making it worse by signing up for something free. It's like finding drugs on the sidewalk and expecting it to make your cancer go away. What the fuck are you doing? Goddamn. Anyway, if you are in a situation like that where you are utilizing or feel like you need to anonymize your traffic or appear like you are coming from somebody else, or just want to ensure that your traffic isn't being seen, and you don't want to pay for a service, your business might have an option there. One of the things we offer to our clients is we offer to build a VPN tunnel for them that they can access from their clients. So we install a known good VPN client on their workstation or on their laptop. And then we tell them, okay, this is how you sign in. And they sign into the VPN service. And now all of their traffic looks like it's coming from their office. And so they can use that traffic for wherever they need. And they can trust that all of the traffic is not being sniffed by an illegitimate party, that it's all being handled by an organization that they've had a BA signed with. They can ensure that traffic remains compliant to all of their standards, so on and so forth. And so that is the way that you would implement a VPN service, as opposed to going off and using a VPN service that's just going to fuck you in the end. So, all that being said, another thing you need to understand about VPN services is that the major VPNs that you see on the internet, if you type in VPN service, like the top 5 results are all owned by the same base company. And this company is basically has collected and is creating a monopoly on VPN services on the internet. And you should probably do, if you are trying to buy a consumer VPN service, you don't have an option to create your own VPN, and you want to, and you need a VPN service for a legitimate purpose like before, you should do some research into who owns the VPN service that you are providing. There are several very good options that are run by legitimate parties who are very directly running their application. And it's not just a shill for another company that all they're doing is data collection aggregation. So you can find these. Again, I'm against telling you what organizations to go and purchase a VPN from, but there are several that are from trustworthy locations, trustworthy countries that you can download, purchase, and just be happy with. But definitely do some research into who owns the VPN service that you're using, to make sure that you're not handing your data off to this data aggregation company, because the one that owns like 75% of the VPN services, they are collecting your data and they are feeding it off to a very specific government entity, and you may not want that. So that's all I have time for today, guys. I hope you have a great day.